Hey everyone, I've been seeing something going around on social media as of late where some people claim that Elohim's name is Hayah, which they claim means I am. But is this accurate? Let's check it out. Shalom everybody, and welcome to Beit Tefillah. I want to say up front here in this video that I'm not going to talk or argue about how to pronounce the name, also known as the Tetragrammaton, of Elohim in this video. Okay? So whether you say Yahweh, Yahweh, Jehovah, Yahovah, Yahuwah, or Yahweh, that's your choice. Nobody knows how to say it for sure in the first place, as it's been lost to time, even those who are positive that they are the ones that know how to say it right. I know how I say it as I say it, and I'm not going to argue over the way people pronounce it. So I just wanted to get that out of the way up front. But I've seen some doctrine going around on social media lately where people are claiming the name of Elohim actually translates to I am from the Hebrew word Hayah. They claim to get this from where most Bibles read in Exodus 3:14. And Elohim said to Moses, I am that which I am. And he said, thus you shall say to the children of Israel, I am has sent me to you. Now the Hebrew text reads, Ayah Asher Ayah, the word Ayah being derived from Hayah, which actually means to exist or to be. This is not Elohim's name, but an explanation which leads up to the revelation of his name in the verse that follows, which is namely Yahuwah, which is spelled in the Hebrew language Yod-He, Waw-He. When someone is trying to prove I am is the name or one of Elohim's names from Scripture, they very seldom, if ever, continue reading past verse 14 as Elohim continued speaking to Moses with Exodus 3:15, where we can clearly hear Elohim say, thus you are to say to the children of Yisrael, Yahuwah, Elohim of your fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Yitzhak, and the Elohim of Jacob has sent me to you. This is my name forever. This is my remembrance to all generations. Now, nowhere else in the story of Moses speaking with Elohim at the burning bush does Elohim ever call himself I am. In fact, nowhere else in the entire Tanakh does Elohim refer to himself, nor is he referred to as I am. It's not recorded that Moses went to the children of Israel and said, I am has sent me to you. But repeatedly, many times over again, is recorded that many others refer to Elohim as Yahuwah, the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Let's hear verse 15 again from Exodus 3:15. And Elohim said further to Moses, thus you are to say to the children of Israel, Yahuwah, Elohim of your fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Yitzhak, the Elohim of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name forever, and this is my remembrance to all generations. First, Elohim gave his name, Yahuwah. Then he stated, this is my name forever. That name is the remembrance to all generations. That name was the name that was mistranslated to the Lord or God around 6,828 times in Tanakh, also known as the Old Testament, in the King James Bible, and in many other Bibles we have today. And we know that the Lord or God, those aren't names, those are titles. So we have that name of right here used thousands and thousands of times, and yet the reference to I am as his name being used just once. That should be a big clue for us. But what we really need to examine is whether I am is actually what Elohim said to Moses in Exodus 3:14. I've already mentioned it, but let me define it. The Hebrew word that was translated into I am in most Bibles today comes from the Hebrew Hayah, which means to exist, that is, be or become, come to pass, accomplish, committed, continue, or happen. The total number of times that Hebrew word Hayah was translated into many different English phrases is 3,502 times. Wow. That's a whole lot of times for it to be used as other phrases and then as I am for just one single time. Now, the first time the word Hayah is used in the scriptures is the second verse of Tanakh in Genesis 1:2. And the earth came to be formless and empty, and darkness was on the face of the deep. Came to be was translated from the word Hayah. So what follows is I'm going to read some examples of Hayah being used in context. I'm going to read quite a few short verses here so you can get the feel and the understanding of what the word Hayah really means. And instead of stopping and interjecting the word each time, when I read something like there be, it's going to pop up on the screen so you'll see where it was, okay? Genesis 1:3, and Elohim said, let there be light, and there was light. Genesis 1:7, and Elohim made the expanse and separated the waters which were under the expanse from the waters which were above the expanse, and it was so. So even that word was translated from the Hebrew Hayah. Exodus 12:29, and it came to pass that at midnight that Yahweh smote all of the firstborn in the land of Egypt. Genesis 17:4, Elohim said to Abraham, as for me, look, my covenant is with you, and you shall be a father of many nations. Exodus 19:5, and now, if you diligently obey my voice and shall guard my covenant, then you shall be my treasured possession above all the people, for all the earth is mine. And in regarding unclean animals and fish, in Leviticus 11:11, they shall be an abomination to you. Of their flesh you do not eat, and their carcasses you abominate. Let's take that verse, for example. How would that be if Hayah was I am? That verse would read, they I am an abomination to you. Of course, that's not what it says. So we can understand what the actual meaning of Hayah is just from hearing it in context. I think it's pretty easy, right? Now let's examine these two verses, which are very telling. Leviticus 22:32-33. And do not profane my set-apart name, and I shall be set apart among the children of Israel. I am Yahweh who sets you apart, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim to be your Elohim. I am Yahweh. Notice twice there that Elohim gives us his name and says, I am Yahweh. If his name meant I am, then it would mean he was saying, I am, I am. But that's not what it says or what it means. Curiously, both times I am is used, it does not come from the Hebrew Hayah, it is translated from the Hebrew Ani. Elohim was not saying Hayah Yehovah, he was saying Ani Yehovah, or I am Yehovah. And the word am is inferred there in the translation. If I were to say it like Elohim spoke it and it was written, originally it would be more like I Yehovah. It's like me saying, I, Scott, am doing this video. Okay, I'm not saying I am Scott and I am doing this video. You can see when I am saying I, Scott, that the am is inferred. Same thing. Now, the Hebrew language, as many other languages, don't translate straight across the board from meaning to meaning, like from Hebrew into English that way. When you translate it, you end up changing it a little with verb conjugations and words that don't have exact equivalents, so you do your best. However, when you rely on a translation that has changed the original text, and anytime you go from the original, you're going to end up changing it. Anytime you rely on a translation, you cannot build a doctrine around these alterations or these translations where they got it as close as they could. And I think that's what happened in the case of I am. This is actually a very dangerous thing, and it's happened other times in Scripture too. So let's look at this issue a little deeper. We're told in Exodus 3:13, and Moses said to Elohim, see, when I come to the children of Israel and say to them, the Elohim of your fathers has sent me to you, and they say to me, what is his name? What shall I say to them? A yah is the first person form of hayah, to be. And with the intricacies of the Hebrew language, it can mean I was, I will be, and to become. The meaning of the longer phrase, ayah ashur ayah, is highly debated, and it may be seen as a promise from Elohim, meaning I will be with you. But that's highly debated. But if it's correct, it leads to an interesting direction, which I'm going to talk about in a minute or so. Now, it's interesting to note that it was never recorded that the Israelites asked Moses for the name of Elohim. Many scriptural commentators assume that Moses did not know the name, and that the children of Israel would test him by asking him the name in order to prove that Elohim did indeed send Moses to save them. But we have no record of that, so it's merely speculation as we can't be sure. The wonderful and very fundamental verb hayah is the common verb to be in the Tanakh, but it should be noted that very seldom in the Tanakh is the Hebrew word hayah used to denote either simply existing or identifying a person or a thing. What Elohim most likely meant when he, as translated, appears to have called himself I am, is probably closer to something like this. I am he who causes that which is to be. Meaning, of course, that Elohim is the creator of all. Let me read that one more time. I am he who causes that which is to be. The meaning of the phrase ayeh asher ayeh could also be understood as meaning he who will be, is, and has been. However, in Hebrew that'd be written differently. It'd be written as hayah hova yeh, which of course differs quite a bit from ayeh asher ayeh. But I am was never one of Elohim's names. Elohim was very specific about how he wanted to be known to Yisrael. And revisiting the idea that this phrase ayeh asher ayeh may represent the concept of I will be with you, let's take a look at the following verses and at the bigger picture. Everybody please hear me on this, because this next part is important. Exodus 3 verse 11. And Moses said to Elohim, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and that I should bring the children of Israel out of Mitzrayim, or Egypt? And he said, Elohim, because I will be with you. I will be hayah with you. And next we read in verse 12, and this is to you the sign that I have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you are to serve Elohim on this mountain. So Elohim is telling Moses that the sign that he is with Moses will be when Moses sees that the children of Israel have been gathered and brought right back to that same mountain to serve Elohim. That is a sign to Moses. So, speaking of signs, let's think about something else. Back in Genesis, we can read in chapter 9, verse 16, and the rainbow shall be in the cloud, and I shall see it to remember the everlasting covenant between Elohim and every living creature of all flesh that is on the earth. So here, Elohim put a sign to himself that he can look upon and remember, a rainbow that shall be in the clouds. And what about the sign of the Passover? Let's read that in Exodus 12:3. And the blood shall be a sign for you on the houses where you are. When I see the blood, I shall pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt. So clearly, Elohim is with his people that have obeyed, who have placed the blood as a sign upon their doorpost for Elohim to see. Elohim gives signs to the people to show that he is with them, and Elohim asked for a sign from the people to know who was with him. We can also read this in Isaiah. Isaiah 7:14-16. Therefore, Yehovah himself gives you a sign. Look, the maiden that has conceived will give birth to a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. He eats curds and honey when he knows to refuse evil and choose the good. For before the child knows to refuse evil and choose the good, the land that you dread is to be forsaken by both her sovereigns. So obviously, the sign here is before this child is old enough to know good and evil, Elohim will deliver his people from the wicked kings who oppress them, the kings Pekah and Retzin. And what was the child originally to be named? Emmanuel, which means El is with us. Hayah. It was a sign to the wicked king Ahaz that Elohim was with his people, Yisrael. Jeremiah 30:22. And you shall be my people, and I shall be your Elohim. So we know that if we obey Elohim, that he will be with us. So it's likely that the meaning of when Elohim said to Moses, Ayeh asher ayeh, that it most likely means that he is with his people. It's not I am, which is ambiguous, it's a mistranslation, and thereby incorrect. Well, I hope this video blessed you. Thanks for watching, and please sub to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Shalom to all who are Yisrael and are scattered worldwide in the dispersion. Everybody be blessed and have a wonderful day.